Welcome to a very special release of a Critically Accursed podcast presents, say it with me, Horizon, an actual play podcast of heroes and hormones utilizing the Powered by the Apocalypse system masks. Now, if I know you, dear listener, and trust me, I do, you're most likely screaming at your podcast service provider, "What is this Storyboard episode?" First of all, relax. Seriously, calm down. There's no need for that amount of energy here. Go ahead, grab yourself a cozy drink, a refreshing blanket, settle in. Mr. Critically Accursed is going to tell you a story. Maybe you've listened to all 15 issues of Horizon Volume 1. Maybe you've skipped Volume 1 and decided to listen to this because you have a thing for recaps and summaries or something. Either way, this particular release will serve to sum up some of the important story bits that occurred in Horizon Volume 1. Listen to it as a refresher, as a way to skip the first 15 episodes of our podcast, or just because you really enjoy me whispering sweet nothings into your ear hole. Anyways, without further rambling, let's pop the cork and get this party going, huh? Issue number 1. The Doomed. We are introduced to teenage loner Tate Temple, who lives a quiet life with his middle-class family. But Tate has a secret. He's capable of drawing on life energy to enhance his physical capabilities. Unfortunately for Tate, this power comes with baggage. His family is cursed, and his powers are connected to an ancient being that reveals itself to Tate during a dream.
Yeah, so then the next panel is a close-up of this, reptilian humanoid that has the exact same eyes. And then the panel that follows is just text, but it's in the speech bubble of this reptilian creature with a period after every word.
I will take everything you love until you give me everything.
And this is when you see Tate manifest his powers, because that's not a great thing to say to somebody. This is where you as the reader see the air visibly warp around him, and he'll just say, "I won't let you."
Cool. Yeah. What happens then?
I want to say he wakes up in bed.
When he wakes, his mother finds him in bed, his eyes darkened, and she knows that something sinister has happened to her son.
The person steps into the room, and it's Tate's mother who is looking at him, and her eyes are wide, and her mouth is kind of agape, and her one hand is just almost violently shaking as she stares at her son in a deep mixture of concern and, having noticed his eyes, fear.
It hurts. Willow's absolutely going to fade in the next panel and be like, "Mom?"
I don't think it fades to the next panel. I think that's where the issue ends.
Issue number 2. The Delinquent. We are introduced to 14-year-old troublemaker Todd Tabor. His parents work double shifts, his sister has a part-time job after school, so he's often left to take care of himself. Idle hands are the tools of the devil, and it doesn't take long into his freshman year before Todd meets a mysterious older girl behind school.
So sitting on this future dumpster is a older woman, older girl. She's not, she's obviously a student, and she's obviously older than 14. She's wearing kind of the future equivalents of, I almost want to say like a leather jacket and tight-fitting jeans. There's a patch on the on her shoulder of a cute cartoon cat, but it has like ferocious blood-dripping teeth. And the way the LEDs light up, it looks like the blood is actually dripping down her sleeve. And she's preoccupied looking at a phone and also smoking a cigarette.
Todd will roll up his cig and, noticing that she's a student, say, "Come here often?"
She gives you the sideways glance, like she's totally still focusing on her phone, but she definitely like looks at you out of the corner of her eye and then looks straight back down at the phone. And she says, "What's it to you?"
A little friendly conversation.
With a smirk, she asks, "Shouldn't you be in class?"
Shouldn't you?
Oh, when you get to my point, you don't really have to go to class anymore. Senior year is kind of a filler year.
I mean, as a freshman year, too.
She chuckles, but she's still like actively on her phone. And I imagine it's almost a little confusing as to whether she chuckled at Todd's statement or she chuckled at something that popped up on her phone. She holds up a hand and kind of points at you as she talks, and she says, "Wait right there." She quickly turns and leaves the vicinity.
His teenage mind is going to be racing. Either one of two things is going to happen. Something totally awesome he's going to brag to Robbie about, or she's probably going to get people going to go tell on him.
It's a little bit later. It's closer to 10 minutes later. She comes moseying from like around the corner with her hands clasped behind her back. There's a little bit of a hop to her step.
Long time no see, stranger.
She gives you a smile and a slight bow, and as she picks up from the bow, she holds up future car keys. So it's probably just a key fob. And she looks at you and says, "Do you want to go for a ride?"
I thought you'd never ask.
The two engage in a spree of petty crime and joyrides until the girl suggests they use Todd's teleportation ability to aim for something a little more dangerous. The two break into Google Biotech, and Todd runs distraction as his companion steals something from inside. But when Todd leaves to meet up with his partner in crime, he's instead met with betrayal. When he rounds that corner, what he instead experiences is a swift and hard blow to the head.
Pow!
Yeah, the blow to the head kind of drops him to the ground. The world begins spinning. Everything seems a little foggy, and, you know, it's already dark outside, and he can hear voices, you know, some men talking, some people he doesn't recognize. You know, he's on the ground, so he sees, you know, feet and legs, and just there's maybe 3 people, maybe it's 5, maybe it's just one. The world is spinning, and he starts feeling like sick to his stomach. One pair of legs with like torn black jeans moves towards him, crouches down. So this girl leans over him and gives him this soft yet still mischievous smile. And she just says, "My name is Tabitha."
He'd try to at least sit up, I think.
Yeah, and as he's like as Todd's rolling around and trying to regain his composure and trying to sit up, but just the blow hits so much and the world is still spinning, he gets up just a little bit, like just onto an arm. He's able to like look down this road behind Google Biotech. He sees Tabitha walking with a large, broad-shouldered individual kind of behind her, and a boy about her height who takes a small item from her hand and then throws an arm around her shoulders. And the 3 of them walk off into the night as Todd's vision begins to fade. And what is his like last thought bubble before the comic closes?
That bitch.
Issue number 3. The Janus. Mild-mannered teen James Pepper has a lot on his plate. He needs to help support his family by working part-time as a pizza delivery boy, maintain good grades to earn a scholarship for college, and keep up with the friends he's made at school. Sure, the fact that he can absorb energy and mimic the qualities of certain substances doesn't exactly make his life any less complicated. And his best friend Greg is always making new inventions for him to try out.
As I like, as he says again, rockets activate.
Sure, and this time, like, you hear the of them start, but then it's like, and they don't kick off.
Oh, it's a one-time use. Thanks, Greg.
That's what the speech bubble says, and then the next panel focuses in on the rocket to the right side of the bike, and it, like, starts looking like it's heating up. And I think Pep can feel the heat energy coming from it.
He'll quickly say that rocket's deactivating.
It continues to heat up, but the other one kicks off.
Okay.
So you start spinning around in a circle, and you're like, oh dear God, this other one's going to explode. Oh my God. And then the next panel flashes over to your younger brother, just like sulking, staring down at the
He's just like he's sitting on the curb, like near a bus stop, just like sad.
And then the next panel, it starts to rain. Just over him, though.
I'm spinning around. It's doing the like cheek reverberating thing again.
Oh man.
Pep certainly doesn't need any more trouble in his life. But what's he to do when he stumbles upon an attempted murder? Turns out, the only real option is for him to kick the bad guy's ass. But Pep's first foray into heroism may end up causing him even more problems in the long run.
In like a flash, the trash gets thrown aside, and this guy, he like arches up, but he's facing the wall, but he's bent backwards, so his eyes are like underneath Pep's chin, and he's bent at this awful angle.
Like the Exorcist spider climb down the stairs that she does, like that.
Yeah, but like worse, because this is the tall, lanky dude covered in ancient bandages, and he just says, "I see you."
Oh, Jesus. I didn't expect that. Probably freaks out and punches at the guy.
Yeah, totally.
Issue number 4. The Legacy. Madison Myers may be a typical teen if it weren't for the fact that she's also the third generation of a family of heroes. The legacy began with her grandfather, Valor, then passed to her father, Laser Valor. And now Madison 2 helps protect Horizon City as none other than Sky Valor. But Acid Splash, an arch-nemesis from Valor's glory days, has recently escaped prison, and Madison's grandfather will stop at nothing to put Splash back behind bars. As luck would have it, Acid Splash's son teaches at Horizon High, and Grandpa Valor crashes the class to try to get some answers.
We see your grandfather dressed in his Valor costume, marching in just like right up to Mr. Splash, and he's being followed or accompanied by 2 police officers.
Facepalm.
Yeah, we see Mr. Splash say, without even turning his attention to your grandfather, "If you don't mind, I'm in the middle of a lecture. You will have to wait at least 15 more minutes for me to wrap up." Your grandfather responds, I know you helped him get out. You had something to do with it. Tell me where he is." And Mr. Splash says, assure you, I have no idea what you're talking. And then he gets cut off as your grandfather just like grabs him by the collar, spins him around, and Batman's him up against the wall and goes, "Where is he?" The cops that are, with your grandfather both put their hands on their weapons. And like both cops, there's like small speech bubbles coming off of them that's saying, are you sure you should be doing that? Or aren't you being a little aggressive? And we see just like your grandfather hold up Mr. Splash even higher on the digital chalkboard, saying, "Acid Splash escaped from jail. I know you helped him. I know you had something to do with it." And
wow.
Mr. Splash, his expression doesn't change at all. It vaguely shifts to being annoyed, but even then, it's still pretty straight-faced. And he just slowly looks up, and he says, "Miss Myers, is this how heroes handle themselves these days?" Your grandfather just throws him to the ground and says, "Don't you talk to my granddaughter like that. Never talk to my granddaughter again." And the police officers actually at this point move in on him.
Madison teams up with her grandfather to snoop around one of Acid Splash's old hideouts, only to find that Splash had hired some goons to cause trouble. Although the hired guns have nothing on the invincible Valors, Grandpa Valor may have become too consumed by the hunt for his old nemesis.
A speech bubble interjects in that panel, and it's your grandfather just saying, like, "Where is he?" again. And we cut to him in the exact same pose, holding this guy, the flamethrower guy, up against the wall, just like he did Mr. Splash earlier. And he's just like shaking the dude. "You're taking orders from him. You tried not only to hurt me, but to hurt my granddaughter as well. You're going to tell me where he is." Like the text is all bold and caps. At one point, he just like slams his fist into the wall right next to this dude's head, and the wall just dents and starts cracking. And he just keeps yelling at this guy. There's a follow-up panel where the guy he has up against the wall says, "I ain't no snitch. I'm not telling you shit." And then he like punches the wall again, and he says, "There's only so many times that I'll miss your head. Tell me where he is." And like you're watching him, and there's probably this moment of realization where it's like, oh wow, he's losing it a little bit. And then you hear this awful cracking sounds as you just like look up, and your grandfather had just dislocated this dude's arm from his shoulder. And the guy is just like screaming in pain, and your grandfather's still shaking him, just going, "Tell me where he is. Tell me."
She'll go up closer to him, like in his line of sight, but not like directly where he's engaging this guy, and say that if you respect our family, then you should not harm him.
You say all that, and then he just like looks down and lowers the fist and just like lets the guy slump to the ground. "Splash was my greatest victory. Getting rid of Splash was my legacy."
I'm your legacy now.
He slowly nods and says, "That you are."
Issue number 5. The Transformed. Scott Skihan was a normal kid with a normal life. Certainly no one worth writing a story about. And for a time, Grandpa William's stories of Scott's great-grandfather making a deal with an angel during World War III were just fantasy and balderdash. But all that changed on the night of Scott's transformation.
When he goes to bed, and what's the transformation look like?
I'd like to think it's slow and steady, like the kind of thing that you flash between, like, the gradual change in him, along with like a dream he's having. And not even like yes, my child, now you are to become no, nothing like that. More just like a strange geometrics. Think like an old school, like Doctor Strange panel. Like, wow, what is this? Where am I? How weird. What are these strange glowing lights? But probably like every time he tries to speak, it's just this bizarre, like, angelic script that comes out of his mouth instead. And the panels gradually become more and more geodesic, and he kind of takes on this cubist kind of a shape, all while outside of this, back in like reality in his body, you know, he's having these small eyes burst all over him like pimples, and like these wings are just unfurling from his skin, which is sloughing off and revealing like a metallic sheen.
Yeah, I could imagine like one panel where he's like rolled onto his side and the cover's like half on his body, and the like a few wings are just like draped over his body in weird angles, and left in the depression from where he was laying on his back, there's just like a disgusting like heap of like gooey flesh or whatever.
Yeah, or even just like a dry husk he's leaving behind, like just shedding off big, like, you know, dinner plate sized skin flakes falling off essentially.
What happens when he wakes up?
I like to think it's sort of thing like, you know, wakes up, stretches like nothing's weird, but like all of his wings stretch with him. You know, still pretty groggy, looks out the window, and it's like the sunlight hits his now, you know, somewhat reflective skin. His room just sort of erupts in this blaze of light, and like all of the eyes all over his body squint. And as he holds his arm up in front of his face to block out his eyes, not only is this completely ineffective in now screening all of his eyes from this sudden burst of light, but also he'll see the back of his arm, and it's like, oh no.
Now, with a grotesque body and parents who choose to ignore his strange new form, Scott's only support lies in his childhood best friend, Natalie, and in Grandpa Willie. But a life of keeping in the background could only last so long, and when Scott sees a nerdy kid at school being bullied, he steps forward, saves the day, and makes a new friend.
Now that I've got my hoodie back on and in its general disarray, I'll look at the kid, try really hard not to look at his pants. I could look at his face and be like, you good?
Yeah, I think, and he just scrambles for the binder, like picking it up off the ground and like wiping off mucus. He flicks it open, and you can see as he flicks it open, some of the pages inside are damaged just from being wet, but it looks like he's been like doodling comic art, like he's been drawing heroes and comic panels and stupid shit like that.
Yeah, hey, that's cool what you do there. Please don't draw me. It'd make me feel super weird. I'm just going to throw that one out there just right now.
He just looks down and says, I'm not very good with eyes anyways.
Oh, great. That's super convenient for me. I'm going to go...
But wait, you are a hero, right? Like the way you stood up to him? To Python? Yeah, like you must be a real hero.
Python? Really?
Yeah, he nods. And he flips a few pages in the book, and he like shows you a dumb little doodle he made of Python, and he totally has like stink lines on him, and like a speech bubble that says "I am dumb."
Did you name him that, or is that something he goes by?
I'm pretty sure that's what he goes by. That's what they refer to him as.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, they're all named after animals. All of them animals.
Oh, well, okay, so if bad guys are named after animals, that's going to make being a high school superhero super convenient, easy.
He's watching you wide-eyed, and his hand slowly reaches to a pencil in his pocket, and he slowly pulls it out and flips to it.
What I say?
It's okay, I'm bad with eyeballs. What's your name?
Okay, I'm Scott. I'll just go over to shake his hand.
Yeah, he readily shakes your hand and says, I'm William, but what's your hero name?
I don't really have one yet. Like, I've been playing with a couple ideas. Like, let's be fair, I've got my options open to me. But, yeah, I'd take pointers.
Issue number 6. Todd Tabor. My name is Tabitha. I guess I kind of did a number on Todd, but he needs to lighten up a little and stop sulking around so much. Life's too short to get hung up on things like this, and he still needs to face the fallout of his parents breaking their promise to spend Remembrance Day with him and his sister. Oh well, maybe his friend Robbie will be less of a buzzkill. That kid wants powers, and I know just the guy to supply them. If Todd really wants to play hero and try to save his friend from getting wrapped up in our little game, then fine. At least that sounds exciting.
I'm so sorry that this happened, and I'm sorry for all the things I did. But here goes. And he'll launch into a whole story of meeting Tabitha, all the shit they did, and he will just look apologetic the entire time. And he will end with how Robbie was acting really weird today, looking at his phone, and he went to that same spot where he used to meet Tabitha, and now he's gone, and that letter that she gave him, he'll show it to her and show her what it says.
Yeah, she reads the letter and folds it back up and just like looks up at you. And I almost would imagine that like we might see a panel, not from Todd's perspective, but over his shoulders, where it's almost like she's looking at him judgmentally. Like, and I imagine that might be how he thinks she's looking at him. You know, just like, oh, you were doing this and you never told me. I can't believe you stole a car. Mm-hmm. But then the next panel is her just pulling him into a hug. And she says, everything's going to be okay. You and I, we're smart people. We can figure this out.
He'll just hug her tighter, and he'll just... Maybe she'll feel like the tear coming down his cheek, and he'll say, they're not coming, are they?
And then we see a similar tear on her, and her speech bubble just says no.
And they just have a good cry together, hugging in the bathroom. So, what should I do? Who does this make me now?
And I think she takes a glance down at the note you gave her, and then she looks back up at Todd and says, I don't know, but maybe it's time to try being a hero.
Then here I'll be.
Issue number 7. The Conduits.
Nathaniel here, and I bet you're wondering who the bloody hell is this bloke. Well, a year's passed since Tate's family found out about his powers, and Tate's father took it upon himself to do a little bit of investigating. So, Hadid goes MIA for a year, and kicks around his late brother's estate for some answers. Turns out, I was having the exact same brand of thinky thoughts, for reasons no one ever cared to ask. Now, Tate's family starts giving the kid the cold shoulder. He has some dark energy about him. He's kind of the reason why Hadid went away, yada yada. Long story semi-short, Hadid and I teleport our way back to the temple household one night. I go raid the liquor cabinets while the family makes amends, or whatever it is families do. Once all that stuff is settled, I decide to have a brief chat with Tate. For reasons I've completely forgotten, I was trying a different accent at the time. Not important. What is important is the vision Tate had afterwards.
Tate goes to bed, and we are once again brought to that large wooden door with that really nice, ornate, heavy iron handle. And there's muffled screams coming from behind the door, and Tate's, once again, you're standing in front of this door.
He's in a different mindset this time. And so before, he really wanted to prove that he could be a hero. But I think with Nathaniel's words, it's less of, I need to prove this to other people, and more, I am already this. I just have to show it. Instead of like, sort of that hesitant or like aggressive opening the door, he like takes a breath and confidently like reaches for the knob, like he's ready for whatever is on the other side.
And once the door is cracked, Tate's once again overwhelmed by this bright light, but this time I don't think it burns his eyes. I think he can see right through it. And what he sees when he opens the door is this, it looks like an office. probably several stories up in the sky. There's a full windowed wall straight across from him that looks over a city. It looks over Horizon City. And the screaming is coming from outside these windows, probably on ground level. He can hear it. They're all louder now. There's more screaming. And hovering in front of the windows is this entity with this golden aura. These several white, pristine, feathery wings protruding from its back. This is a humanoid with these white, pristine wings. And it's hovering in place, it's not even flapping the wings. When you walk in or when you open the door, this person turns towards Tate. And Tate can see that this person's eyes are white and deep. Like you can look into them forever and never stop finding answers to questions that you didn't even know you wanted to ask. This entity, this thing, this angel holds you in its gaze, and it speaks in this foreign tongue, but you understand the words to be, I can liberate you. Find me. City Hall. Remembrance Day.
After he says that, it will shift back to Tate. This will be one of the very first times you'll see him smile, and it'll just end with him saying, I'll see you there.
Issue number 8. Seraph. By now you know my grandson, Scotty. He may be a bit weird on the outside, but he's a good kid. He has a couple of friends, and one of them's even a girl. Natalie, I think her name is. I know my boy's putting the old ski-han charm on her. It's in his blood, after all. Oh, this old man's not gonna be around forever, so I thought it'd be a good idea to take Scotty to the Remembrance Day ceremony downtown and meet his friends. But from the sounds of it, his best friend in the whole world, William, seems to have gotten into a bit of trouble at City Hall.
You get another notification from William. This time it's a picture. So it's a selfie focused on William, but your good buddy Python is right behind him with his chin rested on William's shoulder. And it seems like Python's the one taking a picture, but I guess William uses an actual phone. Fuck it, I don't care.
He did last time too.
Yeah, so Python's holding William's phone, it clearly taking the picture, and the text underneath it just says, see you soon, eyeballs. But there's a lot of S's at the end of eyeballs.
Of course there is, because he's obnoxious. I'll shoot him a response in text, just saying, hi Seth, where y'all at?
His response is another picture, this time of just his face, but he's sticking out his tongue and twirling it around, because obviously it's a super long tongue, and the text underneath the picture says, upstairs near the mayor's office, come find us.
BRT.
What is the last panel, or what's the series of last panels? I want you to kind of set that up and see what you think.
First one is him climbing through just an open window in this City Hall building, clambering through awkwardly. Next one is him walking through this hallway, slowly kind of straightening up in posture. And then the last one would be him ascending the staircase, pulling back his hood and starting to take off the hoodie. All the eyes on him you can see wide open.
Yeah. Is there any light coming through that's glimmering off his body as it's being revealed?
I mean, there has to be, right?
Issue number 9. Recharge. My name's Greg Spears, and my best friend is a superhero. I probably shouldn't have told you that. Listen, don't go telling anyone, okay? We're the only ones that know James Pepper's Recharge, and, his dad's already said he considers Recharge to be a menace and a bad influence on kids, which, sure, Pep's brother Robbie is all about Recharge these days, but there's no way that's gonna lead to anything bad. Right? Probably? I mean, right. Hey, did I mention the secret base I built in the basement of Horizon High? Yeah, it's basically a workshop for me to build hypertech for Recharge. I just made this super cool helmet that disguises his voice. It's great. It's really awesome. Probably actually shouldn't really say much more. Pep and I are supposed to go to Remembrance Day with his brother, but Robbie never shows up. And when I totally not illegally hack into Robbie's phone, I find out that he's been talking to a gang of no good teenage villains calling themselves the Manimals. And to make matters worse, they're planning something at City Hall today. Sounds to me like a job for Recharge.
The last panel is probably Pep and Greg showing up to City Hall. Pep doing like the cool like slide on his bike to come to a stop, and then just standing there as there's like a smaller like panel like cut to the inside of Robbie probably hanging out with these teenage villains.
We see him maybe peeking around a corner inside City Hall. So yeah, there's like a shadow looming over him. He's definitely not alone, but it's with him, not something against him or not something pushing him into a corner. And there's a very small speech bubble coming from Robbie Pepper that just says, "I'd do anything for Powers."
Oh, that's a good one.
Issue number 10, Sky Valor. So, like, I get it. My best friend Maddie's also like this big league superhero, but it seems like everyone in her family has a different idea on how she should live her life. So when she calls me, I'm Lexi, by the by, and tells me about how, like, her parents are arguing about what she should be doing on Remembrance Day, I can't help but to be all like, well, screw them, Maddie. Let's go get trashed somewhere during the ceremony instead.
So she flies home, and I think landing, and just about to walk inside her home, she can hear it through the door, through the front walls of her house, her parents going back and forth. It's a little difficult to hear without opening the door or entering, but it's definitely, like, voices are a bit raised.
I'm gonna listen to the door for a minute, and if I don't hear anything, then I'll open the door.
She hears her father say, "It's like I told you, Michelle. This is a great opportunity for her." And your mom, Michelle, kind of cuts him off, saying, "You're always thinking about opportunities, but you're not thinking of her as someone who might not want to do this. She might not want to spend Remembrance Day doing that." And he goes back by saying, "You need to understand that this family, we have responsibilities." And she cuts him off again. "It's always about responsibilities with you, Hank. Why don't you actually think about your daughter instead of your father?"
Oh.
Is that what Madison says? Is there just a little bubble that goes, "Ooh"?
Yeah, except it's like quietly. And her eyes like get a little wide.
But I guess the mayor's old friends with her dad and asked that she, like, stand on stage and look pretty or something during the mayor's Remembrance Day speech. I don't know. Seems kind of lame, but I know Maddie's gonna do it because it'll make her grandpa happy. Maybe I can convince her to pregame with me a little bit. Issue number 11, Remembrance Day. Remembrance Day is here, and our heroes are drawn to City Hall for their own reasons. Tate is searching for the angelic being that called to him in his dreams. Todd seeks to save Robbie from being roped into nefarious deeds by Tabitha. Pep wants to save Robbie from being involved in the schemes of the Manimals. Sky Valor is making a public appearance at the request of the mayor, and Scott needs to save his best friend, William Wendell, from the clutches of the Manimals. Scott and Recharge team up, making their way up the rear of City Hall to find the ones responsible for capturing Scott's friend.
Since I believe I beat the blue blur to the 39th floor's landing, I'll probably stop there and just hold out a hand towards the door.
Huh? Is this 42 already?
39. Just got a text. Says they're in the food court.
What? Huh?
Yeah, I just got a text from the bad guys. They said they're in the food court on the 39th floor.
You're texting them?
Yeah.
What's the phone number?
Oh, well, it's not their phone number. It's my friend William's phone number, but
What's the
sure.
phone number?
I blink it over to him.
Shortly after this exchange happens, Seth, you get an invite to a live feed from William's phone.
Sounds terrible, but I'll do it.
It's a live feed of this asshole python swallowing this kid's phone. You get to watch it go down this dude's throat.
Close feed.
And I'm just gonna say,
All right. Your friend's in there?
Uh-huh.
Let's save him, then we gotta get to 42. There's another kid up there.
Oh, you got a deal.
Meanwhile, Todd meets an intoxicated Sky Valor in the lobby of City Hall, and they are later joined by Tate. On their way to the mayor's office on the 42nd floor, the trio of heroes hear a woman scream for help.
Your phone starts ringing.
I stumble with it,
Sure.
and I click it.
Maddie, are you there?
Who's asking?
It's your grandfather, Valor.
Oh. Oh, right.
Watching the TVs.
Nice. What's on?
Well, I'm watching the ceremony, and I noticed that you must have stepped away, so I figured I'd give you a call and see how things are going.
Oh, yeah, man. Things are great.
Tate and Todd, Sky Valor drunk. I don't want to say drunkenly answers her phone, but she's definitely off. I think you can both pick up on that now, and she's just casually talking to someone.
Is she?
Why? Hang up, we're busy.
I'm on a call.
I am like dumbfounded. I don't actually know what's really going on, just that this guy seems in a rush and needs help. But the girl that he showed up with just took a call with her grandpa. And I'm just like, I don't know how to respond. What is this?
He's just looking incredulous at her, like, why the fuck are you doing this? I told you this is important. I said people had my friend.
Oh, like now? Like right now?
The three of you hear a woman scream from the other side of the building.
Hey, Grandpa, I gotta go. I'll call you back.
Was that a scream?
I gotta do some hero stuff. I'll be back.
Go get him, girl.
Thanks, Grandpa. Love you.
Love you too. I'm so proud.
Jesus fucking Christ.
All right, let's go quickly in that way.
Issue number 12. The Manimals. Scott and Recharge are met with the Manimals, Python, and Pitbull, who have William Wendell duct taped to a chair. While Scott tries to reason with Python to let William go, Pitbull throws down with Recharge.
Yeah, and he doesn't really say anything after you guys release him from the grapple. He just looks at you, and then he glances over at William, whose head is just drenched in mucus, and he smirks a little bit when he's looking at William. But then he glances back at you and then at Recharge. Man, Pitbull, I don't think this is worth it anymore. Come on, let's get out of here. Fuck Splice's plan.
Who?
Splice is the reason we're here. He's the one who did this, and he stretches his jaw and his arms and his tongue to all of us. So we went along with his little plan. It was kind of fun, but now it's kind of lame.
Question. Have you seen a kid named Robbie roughly around the 42nd floor? Yay high, mop of brown hair.
Oh, yeah, that idiot. Yeah, he's with Splice.
Oh.
Upstairs, I'm assuming.
Great.
He chuckles a little bit, and as he turns to leave, he just mutters, "What a dumb kid."
There's a thought bubble above Recharge. It's like, well, he's not wrong.
That's great.
Seraph is going to be waving just, all right, hey, I'll see you at school on Monday.
Python flips you off.
A few floors up and away, Sky Valor, Tate, and Todd investigate the scream and find a girl about their age begging to be saved from the insane manimals. While Tabitha appears and leads Todd away from the group, a kid with bird-like features tries to get the better of Sky Valor. Tate attempts to lead the frightened girl to safety, but it turns out that she isn't quite what she seems.
You know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't be a hero. I'll be my kind of hero. You're right. You're not better than this. You guys deserve to go to jail for whatever the hell you guys are planning.
She actually laughs and she says, "You're gonna throw me in jail, Eastwood? Really? Now that's exciting." And she starts like moving around the room, hopping from chair to chair. She eventually reaches the podium and crouches down, taking a very cat-like stance. And with a sharp, feline-esque smile, she says, "I'd like to see you try."
Todd's gonna lock his eyes on her and show her and use the power he hasn't shown anyone yet, and he's gonna negate her powers. He's gonna take one of those old kung fu movie stances and just do the little "come at me" gesture with his hand.
Yeah, and I think she springs into action, like arms first, going to like vaults from chair to chair and kind of a pouncing charge at you. And like maybe she gets to the first chair, and then mid-leap after that, you shut down her powers, and she goes crashing into a pile of chairs. She yelps like it looks like it sucks. It looks like it hurts. So basically, at the end of that, she's just in the pile of upturned chairs, like grasping her left arm and just going like trying to laugh her way through it, but not really being able to. When you start like forcing your way through the pain of being poisoned, I guess, and start coming to your senses and being like, "Oh, wow, this is a bad situation," you find that you've been plastered to a wall, and she's like standing back, rubbing her hands together, watching you with this devilish smile. And she leans in a little bit and says, "My, oh my, you were easy."
Comic book panel style, you see him sort of webbed. You see his face go through shock, and then embarrassment, and then anger. And then you see kind of that conscious decision of, no, this isn't okay. I'm gonna get out of this. And you'll see that the color starts dimming because he's gonna just pull on his power.
Her response to like feeling this, like it takes her a moment to register that you're doing something. Like she notices something feeling off, and she like looks around, obviously a little unnerved. And when she pieces it together that you're doing something, when she notices the shifting in your eyes, she basically throws herself at you, attempting to put you down by giving you another poisonous kiss. But the closer she gets to you, the worse it becomes for her, and she ends up frantically backing away and like falling to the ground and just like staring at you with a real sense of horror. Sky, you can react. You see him bolt out of this main hall into one of the side halls.
I'll follow him. Try to catch up.
What you see is, as he's swooping into this room, he's heading straight for one of the windows across the room.
Gosh, I wish I could close the window.
The windows are closed. It by all intents and purposes, it looks like he's just going to fly through the window. Or you can just let him go. That's also always an option.
He must see justice.
Yeah, fuck this dude.
Yeah, I kind of just wanted to, like, grab him and pull him down or something.
Yeah, and I think you totally do. The chairs in here are already messed up, so you kind of just grab him and drag him down into this massive pile of office chairs. He's knocked out cold. Like, you do that, and just the force of the impact knocks him out.
Issue number 13. Escalator to Heaven. While Sky Valor is left behind to watch over Tabitha, the unconscious bird kid, and Mary, Tate and Todd venture up to the 42nd floor to deal with Splice and finally save Robbie. However, Things go sideways when they're instead greeted with the angel from Tate's dream, finding on the office floor the bodies of both Splice and Robbie. The angel is powerful and almost delivers a killing blow to Todd, but Tate pushes back with everything he has until... what we see is that the angel who's grasping onto Tate's hand and is pulling Tate back towards you, Todd. What happens is he stops pulling Tate back and he glances over his shoulder at you, Todd. Tate, at that moment, you thought you were getting a lot of energy before, but it feels as though whatever restraints were holding this creature, this entity back, have been stripped. I guess I spoke prematurely when I said that the floodgate was open before, because now most assuredly it is, and your arm begins to just rip apart.
Yeah, I think this is the moment where like he would normally like let go, but I don't know if he's going to be able to comfortably stop. But he might say something like along the lines of like, "This is too much," and maybe actively try to throw the angel away, if only to like use up some of the power that he has just absorbed. I think I'm legitimately going to throw him out the windows and through like just out of the building.
Yeah, the angel flies through the air. What we see is the panel right before it crashes into the window. It's looking back at you, Tate. Its expression is still slate-faced, but we get a singular speech bubble of like garbled text, but bolded in there is, "I will come for you." And then the next panel being where it would break through the glass, instead is back on the escalator. Todd, Tate has thrown you down the escalator, having weakened you with some sort of draw of life energy. He had grabbed you by the throat and whipped you down the escalator. Issue number 14. The Manimal's True Plan. Our 5 heroes finally meet up on the 42nd floor of City Hall. A moment of tension rises as a voice in Tate's head tells him that Scott will be his undoing. Likewise, Scott can feel dark and evil energies from within Tate.
Hey, come here. You're at a crossroads. It's really important that you do a good thing right now.
Like, he will give like this defeated little laugh of like, "I just tried to do good and it all kind of backfired. So if you know what I can do that's good right now, I'm happy to hear it." He's sitting with his back to the wall, knees up, head down, and just his hands are on his head.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly what you should do, but, you know, come with me. Because, look, there's a lot of evil in you, man. And you gotta purge that out of you. And I think you should do that by doing good things. So, you know, come with me. Let's go do a good thing.
You're real, right?
Yeah.
You're not another hallucination that's gonna end up killing me or hurting other people?
No, I'm real.
At this point, that's sort of a positive.
The team finally makes it to the mayor's office and finds Splice and Robbie. It seems like Splice has not found what he came looking for in City Hall, but is eager to throw down with the heroes. He delivers a hefty blow to Todd by replacing Todd's ability to breathe air with gills. And due to Splice's ability to alter the biology of living creatures, Scott's allegiance is briefly called to question.
So Seraph will gently, not too gently, set Tate down against the wall, and then just leap into this office, standing on top of this desk, throw his arms out wide and just say, "Everyone wait, please. You gave him gills. You can give people animal features?
Okay, he definitely takes you in for a little bit. And that...
Yeah, if he's stunned by the silence or even just gives like a tiny nod.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think he like goes to speak, finds that he's not able to figure out the right words, but then just gives like a quizzical nod.
To which Seraph will just, jump down to his level and just say, "Can you give me human ones?"
I don't see why not. And humans are animals too, aren't they?
So you could fix me.
He looks you over quite a bit, and he says, "I have no idea what you are, but if you want to take them out for me, I'll see what I can do." And he gestures towards everyone else.
Then Seraph will turn around and just say, "Guys, I don't know any of you, but can we just walk away from this, please?"
Ultimately, Splice is outnumbered and overpowered by the heroes. But that's certainly not the end of our story.
So he's not currently being restrained?
You're still holding on to him. I think
Okay.
everyone else let go.
Can I take my other arm and, ask for the security to come up here?
Yeah, so are you buzzing Secretary Hoditz?
I mean, I don't wanna.
I'll tell you what, you go to make a call, and you see that you actually have a missed call from Secretary Hoditz.
Oh. Interesting. Guess I should call back?
Yeah, you give her a call back. Mm-hmm. She picks up on like the first ring, and she says, "I'm glad you called me back. What are you doing?"
What do you mean, what am I doing?
And then you hear, not from her, but in the background on her end of the call, the crowd outside, because she was outside with the mayor when you left, but you hear a crowd just gasp and people start screaming.
Oh my god, what is that?
And she says, oh no. And the line cuts.
Issue number 15, NMH. Our heroes have defeated Splice and saved their friends, but their small and personal victories become overshadowed by bigger problems. During these moments, Splice seizes the opportunity to escape, and although Tate's the only one aware and in a position to stop him, Tate chooses to let him go. Our heroes then fan out. Sky Valor goes to address the panicking crowd, Scott to find his grandfather, and Tate, Todd, and Recharge to pursue a mysterious red-haired woman lurking in a nearby alley. Although Sky Valor tries to speak to the crowd, it doesn't take long before she realizes what has them so spooked.
Citizens of Horizon City, you should all calm down and have peace of mind because everything is under control. A Valor is taking control of the situation and you are all safe.
Pause. As you get to that point, and you get some people's attention, you can see some people turn their head to you in the crowd. But Mayor Carmichael puts a hand on your shoulder, and he actually pulls you back a little bit. Not like he doesn't rip you away, but he pulls you back with some force, and he leans in, and he whispers to you. And he says,
Do you, Sky Valor, even... Do you know what's going on? Do you know why they're freaking out?
I'm away from the mic when I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure that it's not helping that they're freaking out.
Mr. Miracle, he's dead. At the front of the monument.
Oh my god.
These people, they're freaking out because they need hope. And hope isn't something that's apparently Mayor Carmichael can give them. Hope is something that a Valor needs to give them. And his eyes go a little bit wild and wide. And he says, Sky Valor, you need to make sure that they feel safe. Okay. At the same time, Tate, Todd, and Recharge meet the red-haired woman in a nearby alley. Although they get little information from her, she has a few choice comments about kids running around trying to be heroes. She arches an eyebrow and looks at you, Tate, and says,
I haven't heard about you. Psychic?
That would certainly have made things a lot easier.
She looks you over a bit, but then shakes her head.
What's a couple of kids like you doing caught up in this mess?
The gang was planning on causing some trouble in City Hall. Then all hell broke loose.
So you're here out of happenstance. Just like me.
Sure seems that way.
You didn't ask for it. My opinion, you should stay out of this. Let the adults handle it. Go home.
Mr. Miracle was an adult and look what happened to him.
She nods and says,
Yeah, he was. But do you think you're gonna be the city's next hero? Is that really what you want to be?
I'm gonna be a better hero than he ever was.
Tate's definitely going to be surprised at that. That's not what he was expecting.
You even know what goes into being a hero? How messed up it makes people?
Saving people, hunting things, the family business.
Listen, kid, from someone who's traveled that road before, being a hero might make you feel all good, but it really messes you up. Hurts the people around you. Might feel all fine and dandy at first, but it always comes back to haunt you in the end.
She sighs and throws her unlit cigarette on the ground.
I want to, before she says anything else, I just want to chime in, but somebody's got to do it.
And I think as she kicks away from the wall, she says,
There are already people running around town playing hero. All the more reason why you should get out of the game while you still can. Don't waste your youth throwing on a mask, prancing around town in some sort of power trip. Get out while you're ahead, before it really starts screwing with you.
And she begins leaving. And I think as she begins leaving, Recharge appears at the front of the alley. And she does that thing where she's a little shocked that he just like rushes over and slides in the panel.
Just a blur of neon sliding across the panel. And he's there with like hands on hips and he just goes,
Good, we got her.
She chuckles a little bit and crosses her arms and says,
Recharge. Should have expected you to show up. How's the mask treating you?
He'll just say,
Do I know you? Should I know you?
Nope, but I know all about you.
How much do you know?
I know you've been wearing the mask for a few years now. Tell me, has it become a weird sex thing for you yet?
I don't know what you mean.
There's like a thought bubble that's just like, I have to have sex first.
Tate then meets up with Nathaniel, who has some less than pleasant news about their future. And he smells like whiskey. It's like he's been drinking all day, and it looks like it. He has bags under his eyes. And he says,
You have a minute, mate.
You are exactly who I wanted to see.
Ain't that convenient? Listen, there's a bit of a problem.
What's the problem?
Well, for starters, there's an ancient, evil, and powerful force swinging on over here to rain chaos and destruction down upon you.
Like, right now?
Yep, right now.
Oh.
Well, maybe not this second, but in the very near future.
Well, that doesn't sound good.
Right, so I guess we're gonna have to up your training if we have any hope of fending him off. Luckily, between you and me...
He leans in and he like puts a hand around your shoulders and he puts a lot of weight on you as if he's using you to balance. And he says,
Luckily, I don't think this bloke has all the powers he once had.
I'll just kind of shrug a little bit and put my arm around him to help him a little bit more. Like, let's get started.
What I'm talking about is some ancient old being that used to use divine artifacts to fuel his existence, but was some time ago stripped of said artifacts and buried deep underground.
I think I know who you're talking about.
His eyes narrow, and he says,
Oh, do you now? Did you suddenly manifest the ability to peer through the veil?
No, but I do sometimes have dreams.
Starters, I can assure you that this isn't the entity, the big bad. It's mostly like one of his little minions.
Oh, so there's more.
Oh, yeah, mate. We're basically number one on the old cosmic hit list, if you will.
Scott receives word from Natalie that his grandfather had a heart attack and is currently at the hospital. Yeah, you see this kid that you've never seen before in your life, like sitting with Natalie in this room as you walk in. And like I said, your grandfather's asleep, but Natalie immediately stands up when you enter. Natalie begins to cross the room to meet with you, but I think she, like, thinks better of it and stops halfway to, like, let you approach your grandfather first instead of being an asshole and cutting you off. So she ends up standing really awkwardly in the middle of the room as you enter.
Yeah, and it's mostly going to be Scott standing by his grandpa, just saying, hey, I'm here. You can wake up now.
Yeah, I think as we kind of maybe zoom in on that, we focus in, and maybe for a moment it seems like your grandfather William smiles very slightly, but it's so slight it's really hard to tell. I think zooming out, we might see Natalie, like, approach you and go to, like, reach out to put a hand on your shoulder, and then also, like, think better of it. Maybe she's ashamed, maybe she just doesn't know what to do in this situation. And the stranger that you found in here with her, he walks out. Like he watches, and maybe it also looks like he's gonna go say something, but totally decides not to and leaves. And Natalie will quietly leave shortly thereafter.
And I think a good final panel of her just sort of walking away out of this door, probably throwing a glance back, will be Scott grabbing a chair, sitting down next to his grandfather and saying, so, save the day today. Let me tell you about it.
When Madison returns home that evening, she finds that her parents have received a surprise visit from none other than Andromeda, one of the city's biggest heroes, who has an offer for Madison's future. And as you move to do so, she, like, follows you, going to her own seats. But as she follows you, she says, "This may be a little presumptuous and early, considering everything that's happened, but the trifecta is built upon a pillar of 3 heroes. And considering we've lost Mr. Miracle, unfortunately," she takes a seat across the table from you and your parents, and she just looks at you, Sky Valor, as she's talking. She says, "I was telling your parents that in the wake of seeing what you have done today for this city, that we need to move on figuring out who will step up and take Mr. Miracle's place in the trifecta. Valor, your grandfather, bless his soul, is a little old for the position. Laser Valor no longer acts as much of a hero in the city. So Sky, I'm here today to offer you a position as an unpaid intern within the trifecta. Should you excel, I think that based on your performance today and in history, that you could easily fill the role Mr. Miracle did."
Oh, wow. I mean, how could I refuse?
She smiles.
It feels like a lot of pressure. I'm hoping that I could do a good enough job.
Pep shares some words with Robbie and comes to terms with Recharge's growing reputation in the city. But just as everything seems like it's getting back on track, he's thrown yet another curveball. You meet up with your brother, and we get just a couple of panels of you guys doing tail end of the day stuff. You buy fried dough, you buy him some pizza, and you guys just connect
as brothers. He's super hyped about everything now that you've kind of forgiven him, or at least agreed to look past everything. So he tells you again about everything that happens. And then we cut forward to the two of you heading home. Maybe Robbie's like riding on the back of your bike as you're biking. And it's a great time. And you pull into your house, and for convenience sake, you tell him to like run off ahead. You're just going to stash the bike in whatever garaging units the future has for this house, right? We'll just say a garage. And he runs off through the front door, and you open the garage, and the light flickers a couple of times. What we see on the back end of the garage wall, written in ash, written in soot on the wall, are the words, "I see you, hero." As Todd tells his sister Talia about his heroism today, the readers are treated to a behind-the-scenes look at what Talia was up to. So we just see a panel going back to that of Todd in a crowd, teleporting into City Hall. But in the background, we see Talia slipping in through a window. And then we see a few more panels of things that happened in City Hall that Todd was involved in. And in some of these, or in all of these, like snapshots in the background, we see maybe Talia peeking around a corner, watching. Roughly around the time that things started kicking off with the crowd outside, out in front, when the monument was unveiled, we see Talia leave City Hall, and she rushes around the crowd. She watches as people disrupt into chaos, and she ducks underneath a few things thrown her way, just in the sheer chaos of everything. She's moving, she's watching, she's listening, and she passes by an alley where there's a few thugs accosting a young girl and some of her friends who seem to be just drinking in an alley. And then the following panel, Talia backs up. And she looks down the alley, and she watches this. She watches one thug, push one dude to the ground, and then look to this young lady, this young girl, and just say, "How drunk are you? You looking for a good time?" And we focus back on Talia, who sighs and sets her backpack aside. She pulls out something with a hood on it, like a vest with a hood on it. She throws the hood over her head, and then we get just a few panels of snapshots, action shots, of her blinking her way through the alley. She sweeps one dude's legs out from underneath him, and she punches him to the ground, and in 3 panels, they're all knocked out cold. And the people she saved are just looking at her, and she doesn't respond to them. She instead turns, blinks out of the alley, throws her hood back, grabs her backpack, and leaves. And it's roughly at this point that she finally pulls out her shitty Nokia flip and stops and frantically writes out a text that just says, "Sorry, caught up in the chaos. Where are you? Are you okay?" Although our 5 heroes may have taken one step closer to understanding who they are, not only as heroes, but as people, it's clear that there's no end of conflict in sight. The future won't be easy for them, no, but being a hero is never easy. It's never certain. We are our truest selves when things are most difficult. But maybe, just maybe, they can rise to the occasion. The doomed, the delinquents, the Janus, the legacy, and the transformed. Maybe they can be your superheroes.
Like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one, only one. I superhero.